All right, students, I'm going to go over the correct answers for the percent and proportion quiz from last week. You can fast forward this to the questions that you don't understand if you felt like you had a pretty good understanding, but I'm just going to go through question by question. So the first one, we want to see what percentage of this wall was painted. So since it's divided up into pieces, I would look at it as a fraction first. If you look at the whole wall, it's 5 squares tall and 8 squares wide. So if you do 5 times 8, that means there's 40 squares in the whole wall. And then if you look at the shaded part, you have 4 rows of 5, so 20, and then 4 more, that gives you 24 out of 40. So there's a couple ways you could do this. We could change it into a decimal automatically, do top dog in the house, and divide 24 by 40. I've also shown you guys if there's an easy way to turn the denominator into 100, so you can look at it as a percent. That's a good way to do it. For this, there's not, but we could simplify this. If we divide 40 by 4, we get 10. So we can also divide 24 by 4. That would give us 6. So 24 out of 40 is the same as 6 out of 10. If we're talking 6/10, this is the decimal. Remember, you can move the decimal 2 places to make the percent, so it'd be 60%. Or you can think of 6/10. If we multiply by 10, we get 60 out of 100. Remember, all percents are out of 100, so 60 out of 100 would be 60%. So on this one, you should have answered C. Cole bought 6 bags of chips for $8 at the same rate. How many bags could he buy for $40? This I would set up as a proportion. So we have the bags of chips and we have the price or the money that he's paying for them. If we're buying 6 bags of chips for $8, knowing that, we can predict how many bags he could buy for $40. And I'm having to write with my mouse, so sorry if it looks crazy. You could cross multiply on this. So 6 times 40 equals, oh my goodness, 8 times x. That's terrible. Or, so that would give you 240 for the 6 times 40 equals 8x. So you'd end up dividing 240 by 8, or recognize that 8 times 5 would give you 40. So if we do 6 times 5, we can get our answer 30. We'd get the same thing. 24 divided by 8 is 3, so 240 divided by 8 is 30. So he can buy 30 bags of chips with that amount. Sharks eat a certain percentage of their body weight in meat daily. A small great white shark that weighs 1,200 pounds eats about 36 pounds of meat in one day. Based on this, how much meat would a larger 2,400 pound shark eat? Again, I would do a proportion with this. So we have the food, how much the food weighs in pounds, and how much the whole shark weighs in pounds. So if we have a shark that's 1,200 pounds, he's going to eat 36 pounds of food. If we have a bigger shark that's 2,400, and some of y'all will notice that's double the weight of the shark. 12 times 2 is 24, so this shark weighs twice as much, so he should eat twice as much food. So again, we can cross multiply, but on this one, it's honestly easier to recognize 12 times 2 is 24, so we can do 1,200 times 2 is 2,400. And then 36 times 2, and like I tell you in class, you do not have to do all this in your head. You can always work it out. So 36 times 2, you need to work that out. You can do it like this, and that would be 72 pounds. So in Canvas, you should have just typed in 72. Next one, 270 kilometers in 6 hours is a unit rate. Remember, unit rate is always based on 1. So in this situation, we would want to know how far we can go in 1 hour. We usually talk about miles per hour in America. In other countries, they would do kilometers per hour. So we have 270 over 6. We want to know how many miles, or sorry, kilometers they would go in 1 hour. We're basically dividing 270 by 6. Six cannot go into 2. 6 will go into 27. 4 times. 6 times 4 is 24. So we subtract, we have 3 left over, bring down the 0. 6 will go into 30 exactly 5 times. So this means in 1 hour, they're going to travel 45 kilometers. Okay, we have a ratio here. Joe mixed 3 gallons of red paint with 2 gallons of blue paint to make purple. Which ratio of red to blue would give the same shade of purple? Remember, the order is important. So since it's red to blue, red would be the first number, blue would be the second number. So it's 3 gallons of red to 2 gallons of blue. So looking at our choices, if I'm going from 3 to 9, 3 times 3 would give me that 9. But is 2 times 3 going to give me 4? No. So that one doesn't match up. 3 times 3 would give me 9. 2 times 3 would not give me 8. 3 times 10 gives me 30. 2 times 10 would not give me 25. 3 times 9 is 27. 2 times 9 is 18. So that ratio, we're multiplying both numbers by 9. Remember, it has to work out for both the numbers in the ratio for it to match up. County with an area of 425 square miles has a population of 9,350 residents. Which rate best represents the relationship? This is an old warm-up question. If you think about it, there are way more residents than there are miles. So if we're looking at our answer choices, A says 22 square miles for each resident. That means every one person would have 22 miles of land. That doesn't even make sense in this situation. B says 9,350 residents per square mile. Well, that's not true. It's 9,350 per 425 square miles. So to say that many is in just 1 square mile, that does not make sense either. 22 residents per square mile, maybe, and then 425 square miles per resident. Per means just that one resident, so that does not make sense. So even without doing the math, we can figure out that C makes sense. But if you were to divide 9,350 by 425, you would get 22 exactly. In 2012, there are approximately 8,950 public libraries in the United States. A survey found that 76% of those libraries offered free access to electronic books. Based on this information, how many public libraries offered free access to electronic books? So we're trying to figure out what 76% of this number is, because this is all the libraries. We just want 76%. So this is our old percent proportion equation. We're considering 76% out of 100%. Remember, it's always part over whole. So the number we're looking for is the ones that offer the electronic books. So that's just part of the libraries out of all the libraries. I need to get something to try to write on my screen because this is crazy. So we're going to have to cross multiply on this one. We're going to end up dividing by 100. So we're going to have 8,950 times 76. Jeez, this is horrible handwriting. And then we'll divide by 100. This is another question where we can eliminate answer choices. 76% is a lot. That's almost a whole. It's a little more than 3/4. So this is all the libraries in the country. 76% are offering access to the book. So we can throw out these two answers. They don't make sense. C is the one that probably makes the most sense, but I would do the math to be sure. I'm going to pause my video so I don't run out of time and do the math really quick. Okay, so I just finished my multiplication here. Again, we said we could probably estimate this portion, but just to be safe. So 76 times 8,950 is 680,200. But that's equal to 100 times x. So our last step is going to be divide by 100. And the shortcut we learned in class is it's move the decimal point 2 to the left, or if there's zeros, remove 2 zeros because there's 2 zeros in 100. And that gives you 6,802, which is what the one that we had predicted make the most sense anyway. So that one would be C. Okay, this is another one we've had on a warm-up. I think I've used it twice and kids are still missing this one. So the whole model is 100%. That means this whole bar is one whole. If we're just looking for 33.5%, we don't even have one whole. And we should remember, I hope by now, that 33 1/3, that's the same thing as 33 with a repeating 3. That percentage is equal to the fraction 1/3. So then looking at our choices, if the whole thing is 100%, we only have 33 1/3%, we definitely couldn't have any full bars shaded in. A has, it looks like about 1/3, but it has 3 out of 10, which would be 3/10 or 30%. So that's not going to do it. We have to go with C, which is exactly 1/3. Okay, this one we've done before too. We have Megan and Desmond. They're mixing chemicals. Megan mixed 5 milliliters with every gallon. So this is Megan. She's mixing, we have chemicals and water. 5 milliliters of chemicals to 1 gallon of water. And then Desmond, with his chemicals and his water, he's doing 8 milliliters of chemicals with 2 gallons of water. So we can't really compare the way it's written right now because she's mixing with 1 gallon of water, he's mixing with 2. But we could easily divide this ratio by 2 and get that he's mixing 4 milliliters of chemicals with 1 gallon of water. So now we can compare 5 milliliters to 1 gallon, 4 milliliters to 1 gallon. Megan is definitely using more solution. So when we go through the answer choices, Megan used more solution because 5 to 1 is greater than 8 to 2. Remember 8 to 2 we changed into 4 to 1. That is your true statement. B says Megan used more, but 5 milliliters is greater than 2 milliliters. That has nothing to do with what they used. Yes, 5 is greater than 2, but nobody used 2 milliliters as their mix. As part of a survey, 300 girls were asked to name their favorite sport. The results showed that 12 of the girls named bowling as their favorite sport. What percentage of the girls in the survey named bowling? So again, we're going to use our percent proportion. Remember, it's always part on top, whole on bottom. So 12 girls out of 300 picked bowling. 12 would be the part of the girls that chose bowling. 300 is the entire group that was surveyed. We want to know the percent. So remember, 100% always goes with the whole. If we're looking for the percent, we're looking for the part. So in this situation, it's easy to see 100 times 3 would give us 300, so we can do that. X times 3 would give us 12. So what number times 3 would give us 12? 4 would. If you don't see that easily, you can cross multiply. You would get 1200 divided by 300. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 1200 divided by 300. Remember, you can cross off zeros if there's nothing, no decimals or anything behind them. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So you have 4%. And that's the whole quiz. Email me if something on here didn't make sense after my explanations. But if not, hopefully you understand now. Have a great day.